great movement and vibrancy to this film. I loved the pacing and the inventive framing of the people, their operation, the intimate moments in their day, and the environment. And they did this in this very effectively, frequently altering pace that was so well supported by the atmospheric soundtrack. I feel like each time the pace quickened or slowed to help facilitate our understanding or the knowledge, the track matched it brilliantly and created great freshness. There was a really nice freshness also in the cinematic approach, not just informational, but also beautiful and invitational, which I think is really important with documentaries, especially in new cultures and in understanding processes. Great variety of subjects from various fields within the field and perspectives to bring this supply chain of cocoa and palm oil industry to life from the perspective of the smallholder crop. And it's definitely going to make me think twice about where the products I buy come from.
These small crop farmers, or like large crop farmers in Cameroon for cocoa and palm oil, and those, and what they do and what the process is like for them when they go into these large markets. I think it's a really interesting piece for those who are, not only trying to learn about the industry, but trying to be a more thoughtful and conscious consumer. I think it was a really interesting piece, not only from the point of, what a smallholder is and what the industry is like, but also just about Cameroon in general, and the economic impact and economic trade is like there. It came together to be a really interesting piece. I think you have a great variety of sources, and it was incredibly informational and really edited really, really well.
This is a family who farms cacao. They are one with the forest, for they see the benefits that this part of land gives the earth. Use the quote, "We use deforestation as a means for survival." Cameroon is doubling the cacao production. There has been this increase of need, therefore giving money back to farmers and alleviate poverty, or so it seems. However, we must be mindful and methodical in the way that we use deforestation, because if we go about it so rapidly, it could make a means to end with trees in this area. So rather than creating an influx of cacao, it would do the opposite. They have this holistic spiritual relationship with the forest, recognition that this forest is medicine. They do groundwork. This dives into the life of the farmers, discussing their cycle of poverty, how their price is out of their control, where their product is going, supporting our farm workers. They pour sweat out for us. So, what solutions can we provide for them? Uh, who are, creating these deforestation conditions simply as a means for survival, as their product decreases in price, as it causes an increase in mass production. They want to improve methods to create better management for improving seedlings, better milling systems. All of these things help decrease deforestation, but these farmers want their voices heard, and they want to be involved in the decision-making process to make things better for their overall environment.
Worked in coffee for a long time, and you end up learning about like fair trade and like coffee farmers and things like that. And like once you get onto a larger scale and you get into the really saturated market that coffee is, the disparity and the free trade aspects of it start to kind of come to light if you look into it more. And I when I was learning and watching this film, it just kind of reminded me of like similar situations where the farmers themselves that are putting in the work, that are, cultivating these plants, that are doing all of these things, oftentimes don't get a big percentage of the profits, don't get any of the profits. They oftentimes kind of get the short end of the deal. And so learning about it, putting that knowledge out there, because these are like goods and services that are like highly consumed. Like cocoa is a huge substance that is consumed by so many. And so learning about this, learning about the history of it, learning about where it comes from will only better those practices, will only better trade practices, will only better the environment, will only make sure and ensure that we're actually protecting the land, doing what needs to be done to make sure that we can still farm the land, still get cocoa, all of these things. So more information, better.
The urgency to this message was palpable. Everyone had this almost desperation about them to, hammer home the importance of conserving and preventing this deforestation, and just how futile it is in this situation that they're in with the smallholders and not having a voice in the international conversation, and how that they just don't have any kind of say, even though they're the ones that affect the deforestation the most. You kind of see throughout this film how futile it is, and how much of a losing game it is to try and prevent deforestation, because it hurts these people so much that they're just not going to follow, they're not going to want to do things that are going to lessen their profit even more. So this film did a great job of explaining that. But the film overall was beautiful, and it had some great shots of the work that goes into making cocoa and palm oil that, we don't get to see often. And the people involved as well, like getting to talk to so many different people in this line of work and seeing how hard they work and how much this affects them and how important it is that they have their voice heard.
I can't say, I've not really had a chance to look specifically at the culture of Cameroon in such an in-depth way before. So that was really good for me. And also just to learn a little about the industry and just what a smallholder is, and about the cocoa industry and palm oil. This is all very specific stuff to a very specific region that I had never had exposure to before. So it was very good for me to watch this. It was very, very informative. And just learning about the balance between, the environment and business, and the struggle there in Cameroon. So yeah, very interesting all around, great topic. And it was very, very well done, very well directed. The interviews were great. Everybody did great on camera. Information was very easy to understand.
They give us a deep dive into the forest and their techniques to process the raw materials for these ingredients, and we are depleting the resources, paying ridiculous amounts to the people that are actually growing the trees and harvesting. They live in precarious living conditions, and deforestation and trade inequalities are so pervasive. It's just appalling to watch this. The solution they proposed seems quite feasible, and I think the main responsibility still lingers on big corporations, but consumers, we have to use our own voice to get involved in dictating that what we buy, from where and why, is protecting the people that is producing these things. And we have to make an effort to guarantee that people that get our food and our most precious things for survival, they live fairly and in dignity, and these unfair policies no longer exist. This was just an amazing window into these practices and how this region is suffering because of their production of cocoa and palm oil.